So it was a good day, another good day, 2 in a row. 2 in a row, it's the best. I'm proud of myself though. I spent my time today wisely. This is not, whoa. So I'm just starting like a list of things that I can get done before spring break. Good morning, everyone. My name's Katie, and I'm a third grade teacher in the state of Florida, and you're here for a week in my life. So that intro was kind of short and sweet and to the point, but that's all I really got this morning. Is you're here for a week in my life. Welcome. It's currently Tuesday. It is not a short week. My last vlog was a short week. This week is not. It's just a regular week, but I decided just not to vlog yesterday. David and I went out of town to a friend's wedding this past weekend, and so we got back at like dinner time on whatever day that was, Sunday night, and which was good timing. We had time to go grocery shopping and get stuff unpacked around the house, all of those fun things. But I was like, I think I'm just going to take Monday for myself and not vlog and just go in, teach, get what I need to get done because it's the beginning of a full week. And I just wanted to make sure I had everything, like all my ducks in a row. And the good news was I did. Yesterday was a great day. In fact, at Bible study last night, I scored it an 8.5 out of 10, which is really good for third grade land. We got through a lot of the things that we needed to do, which is what I say every single vlog. I think I say that every day when I vlog, so I'm sorry. That must be my catchphrase or something. But it was a beautiful day weather-wise, so recess was a blast. It was just a great day. I spent all of my planning time receipting money for our trip to the zoo, our field trip to the zoo. And I was glad I had all my stuff planned, like my reading was planned and my math was planned. The only thing I did yesterday that was different from what I have been doing was my reading. I usually end my reading time with independent work time. And yesterday I didn't do that. I taught through the independent work time, and actually it felt really nice because it didn't feel like I was rushing. So I'm kind of like, I should keep that as an option to do more often. But it's because our text was so long. And so I was like, well, I need to have enough time to like go over the text and go through and like analyze it and find the things we want to find. And I wanted to write like a summary that used time order transition words. So that was a little tricky. I was like, there's no way I'm fitting all of this in because the text is just so long. So we just did the whole text yesterday. We read the whole thing together. Like I would read a side, we'd all read a side, we'd mark what we saw. And today I'm going to let them reread it with a partner, and then we're going to write a summary with chronological order words together. So it kind of extended, and we will have like our normal whatever time. It kind of extended this unit/week, unit for week 1. Is that what we're in? Or are we in week 2? I think we're in week 1. I think I'm unit 4, week 1. It kind of extended it an extra day, which honestly, I'm okay with. Because I think sometimes teaching it in 5 days is a little ridiculous. Anyways, you need like 6 or 7 on each concept. So we're going to finish that up today. We're also working on area in math, so that's not too tricky, or it shouldn't be too tricky. It was kind of shocking on Friday. We did like an area activity with geoboards and then dot paper, and some of them were struggling. I was like, make a shape that has an area of 5, like units squared, or 6, and it was interesting, to say the least. Very interesting. But we're going to finish up another lesson on area today, and then tomorrow we're going to finish the whole chapter on area. Then we'll review and test, which is crazy because we just took a test, I'm pretty sure, like in my last vlog. So this is a really short chapter, and then next week we have one even shorter chapter that I'm going to fit in a week. Crazy, because then it's spring break. So the countdown is on. If you count today, I have 9 teaching days left until spring break. So that's really exciting. Very, very exciting, actually. But there's so much that I've got to do in that time period. But I started off on a happy note. When I came in, my coworker had made copies for me and left them on my stool, which was so nice because I was going to go to the copying machine this morning and copy those packets. And she did it for me because we're doing like a little mini novel study next week. And I made like the novel study companion, and I was so grateful. That was so sweet. So I only have one other thing that I need to copy before Friday, but I'm not making my way up to the copying machine for like one class set of something. So I'm going to sit and work on my computer. I'm working on getting like parent conference setups and signups ready to go. So I'm going to sit and work on that for a little bit, maybe sharpen some pencils, and then just review over my plans for the day to make sure I'm prepared, and then make a to-do list of anything that I feel like I can do now to start getting ahead for what I need to do later this week, if that makes sense. Because I know tomorrow I'm going to have stuff to grade, like a selection quiz and a cold read. The next day I'll have language arts tests to grade, and then we'll have math tests to grade. So I know today will be a little bit less like grading wise, and so I can get some other things done. But yeah, and I'm also going to try, yesterday I was able to leave at like 3:30, which was right on time. It was a beautiful afternoon. David and I went for a walk. So my goal is to leave on time again today, because we have a lot of branches in the backyard, because David's been like pruning trees and lots of overgrown brush and vine that's been at our house that we've never like tackled, because I don't think the previous owner did a whole lot in the backyard, but we've been doing so much inside, but now we're ready to look at the outside. And so our whole backyard right now looks like a beaver trying to build a dam, because there's so many branches and vines from our crepe myrtles and everything that was behind it. And we just need to cut it and stack it. And I'm not as great with the cutters as David is, but I was like, dude, if you come home from work early, I'll make sure I come home on time. You go out there with the cutters and I'll pick up sticks and we'll stack them like in the fire pit area and try to clear the backyard back up, because it literally looks like a beaver building a dam. Maybe I'll have to insert a picture of it because it's quite hilarious. So that's the goal for today, is to get everything done so I can go home and play pickup sticks. Woohoo! All right, that's it. I'm gonna let you guys go and start to look at my plans, but cheers to Tuesday. Oh, my voice just went away. I was just hearing noises outside and I thought it was raining, but it's just our custodial staff going by on the golf cart. So that makes a lot more sense. But I was like, rain? Okay, so I'm back home, sitting in my car, looking at my hair. Oh my gosh, it's a mess. It has been windy today, like super windy. I did not check in this afternoon because I had an unexpected training that I'd forgotten about because I didn't write it in my planner. Go figure. But it was not very long. It was just a quick vocabulary training that my reading coach was doing. She's done like one each quarter on a different like aspect of reading. And I need training hours on reading because I think I have to recertify or like renew my certification next year. And I have to have a certain number of hours of like reading professional development. And so I went to that. I was like, oh, well, good thing I didn't have anything planned that took me away right after school. Like last week I had an eye doctor's appointment, so I'm glad it didn't fall on that day. So I went to that training and it wasn't very long. I got some good vocabulary ideas. Gosh. And so now I'm home. David and I are going to go into the backyard and pick up sticks from the backyard, which will be a great time whenever he's home, which I thought he was going to be home when I got home, and he's not here yet. So I'm at least going to go change, maybe stretch, because my body just feels like sore. I don't even know if I describe it as sore. My body's felt kind of like achy today. I guess that's probably how I would describe it. I need to brush my hair so bad. Just kind of like, if that makes sense, and not like lower back pain, like just all over, like in my shoulders, just kind of tense and like achy. So I think like changing into clothes, like shorts and a t-shirt and tennis shoes will help, and like maybe stretching or doing something like that before I go outside and pick up all these sticks. How old am I going outside stretching before I pick up sticks? Oh my gosh. But anyways, I will pick up the camera tomorrow. And when I get to school tomorrow, I'll share like a little bit about how our day went, because it was a good day. Another good day. 2 in a row. 2 in a row. It's the best. But I'll share like what we did today at school.
But back then, a Happy Meal was $3.36. And that's what it's...
Oh, I already put it on. Wow. Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm walking around the room getting stuff ready, so I'm just going to take you with me. First off, I can't believe it's already Wednesday. I'm like, how? Is this the third time I've woken up and like done all the things in the morning? Second of all, I straightened my hair today, which I have not done in a very long time. I've kind of been rocking the curls because then I can curl it and brush it out and leave it that way for like 3 days. and just put dry shampoo on it, and I've been loving that. But I straightened it today because it was mostly straight this morning anyways, so it's kind of throwing me off because I haven't had it straightened in a while. Third, I was going to share what we did yesterday. So yesterday we reread our text. On Monday, I think I told you that we did like a really close read of our biography on Jane Addams, and we marked all the things. And our skill this week is working on chronological order. So we found like characters, problem, solution, all of those things, but we also marked words that indicated chronological order. So yesterday, what we did was I let them reread the story another time with a partner because it's a long text and I wouldn't expect them to like remember everything that we read. So I let them reread the text with a partner somewhere around the room, which, pro tip, I have this index card up here, like right next to my teaching center, and it's got like a groupings that are good for reading. So like as I group them together, if I notice somebody who works well with somebody else or that their level is close and I'm like, oh, that was a good pair, I write it down. So anytime I'm like wanting to assign pairs, I have like a go-to. And so I was like, okay, I'm using those pairs. I had them read the text. Most of them finished. It was really long, so some of the groups didn't finish, but it was the third time we've read it anyway, so they still knew what to do. Then we made a brainstormed list, and I'm going to pop a picture right here of that list of all of the words that we had marked on Monday that indicated chronological order. I listed them all over our slide, and then we used those words to help us write a 3-sentence summary that used phrases to indicate that our summary was also in chronological order, because that's how we're doing the written response this week. So this is what we came up with, and I think they did a really good job. From the start, Jane was a strong soul because she was kind. When school was over, Jane went to London and she saw poor people and wanted to help. At the end, she created the whole house to help people in Chicago. Thought it was a great summary. It didn't have all the details from the text, but it had like the highlights from Jane's life. And so today, we're going to do that again, but with a cold read passage, which is just a passage they've not seen before, and it's about another famous person. So I think we'll probably do the first read together. Maybe I'll encourage them to do the second read on their own, I think, and we'll like talk about things that we marked so we can get one more modeled practice with that. And then I'll let them probably answer the questions and do their summaries with the people at their table or with a group. I haven't quite decided on that, but it gives them a third chance to practice, because we did a summary on Ruby Bridges and now we've done one together on Jane Addams. And so now they're going to practice one a little bit more guided with a partner. And then tomorrow's the progress check. Where's the time gone? And they'll be doing that on their own for a biography. So I thought it went really well though. And that writing was fantastic. And they're getting really good at, we've been learning about conjunctions, and they've been really good at like expanding their sentences using conjunctions. So like, yesterday, they said, from the start, Jane was a strong soul. And I said, okay, let's stop our sentence there for now. I said, but why was she a strong soul? What if I add this conjunction and I put because, and then they extended it, she was kind. Much better sentence, right? So when school was over, Jane went to London, and then I added and to the end. I was like, and what happened? And they're like, she saw poor people in this. And I think they're learning how they can expand their writing and make it so much better with conjunctions, which is fantastic. So I'm going to put this on the tripod because my hand actually does hurt. So what I need to do is grade those writings because I had them do it on notebook paper. Sorry, y'all. Like looking right at my nose, I feel like. I had them do it on notebook paper, just like I modeled up on the board. And I had them turn it in, but I didn't get a chance to grade it. So I'm going to grade it this morning because it's going to be like an easy grade. I'm going to stamp it and just say like we did this together and give them a 100 unless they're like missing anything important like capitals and periods, because we did it together and I put it on the board with capitals and periods. So if they're missing anything like that, I will maybe take off like just a few points, but not too much. So it should be an easy daily grade for them. But I'm going to go ahead and grade it this morning because today we do the cold read, and so I'm going to need to grade that. And we're going to do the the selection quiz, which is a quiz on the Jane Addams text. So I know I'm going to have 2 things to grade for reading after today's over. So if I go ahead and grade this, then I only have 2 things to grade and I don't have to worry about this anymore. Other than that, it's more of the same. I'm going to grade this, and I'm also going to look at my math slides for this morning. It's the last lesson in chapter 10. Chapter 10 is quick, let me tell you. Yesterday we did like finding patterns in area, like if you take a shape and you double the width, what happens to the area? The area doubles. If you take a shape and you cut the width in half, what happens to the area? The area is also split in half, which was funny because they kept saying undoubled because we did doubled first. They're like, the area is undoubled. I said, okay, which means we're dividing it by 2 or splitting it in half. But they kept going back to undoubled. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, like, that makes sense. With the prefix and the verb, I mean, we got it. But I kept saying, which means divided by 2 or cut in half, just to make sure we knew what undoubled meant. But that's it. Looking at today's lesson, I just pulled it up. Let's see, what are we doing? The goal is to break apart a figure to find area. It's the distributive property. Y'all, we're set. We're set. It's the distributive property for big rectangles. But now it's like the distributive property for composite figures. So figures that are like 2 next to each other, how we can break that apart using a line and then make our equation. So that's good. And I've already looked at the review questions, so I know what we're going to do for the review tomorrow. We are feeling good today. It's been a good week so far. It's the 3rd day of the book fair. And today, most of the week, I've been making this handy dandy list where I just write book fair up at the top. And then I put the names of the students who need to go shop. And then anytime we have a spare moment, I'm like, go. And I cross their name off. But today they're going shopping during specials. And so I don't have to worry about that because they can take their money with them then. And I have 1 receipt to do for the zoo field trip that we're going on. I did so many yesterday and the day before, but I've got 1 today. And then I think I only have 2 that haven't paid. So I need to send like a reminder, like, hey, make sure you pay. And that's it. I'm going to get started on those things and stop rambling. Good morning. Happy afternoon on a Wednesday. I can't believe it's already Wednesday. I think I said that this morning too. I'm going to stand over here and carefully sort papers so I don't accidentally put any in the wrong spot. I'm proud of myself though. I spent my time today wisely and I got the assignments graded that I needed to get graded. So I'm pretty set. What I'm working on now is sorting their cold reads and their selection quizzes. They did pretty well on the quiz about the text that we've been reading this week, which was encouraging to see because he read it so many times and I feel like we did like a thorough coverage of the text, if that makes sense. And then I let them do the cold read with partners and I saw some of the sweetest partner work I think I've ever experienced ever. It was just so cute. I watched this group of girls and they were all checking to make sure they knew the vocabulary in the text and they were taking notes on the text just like we practiced in class. And then they were answering the questions and they were getting like so giddy and excited because the answers to the questions were the things that they marked in the text, which is the whole point. Like the text is talking about chronological order and that's what we've practiced marking in text this week. It was so sweet. And it makes me wish that we could, or they could write on their tests for state testing. So it's kind of like, that's not available, that it's all computer-based testing, but we're going to figure that out. So if you have any tips and you teach a grade that does state testing on the computer and you have any tips for how to make that better for reading, please let me know because, I mean, we just do so much analyzing text and writing on it that it kind of makes it hard for them when they get to that test. But anyways, we had a very successful day. They were even excited in math because we were finding the area of a shape using the distributive or break apart method. And they were very excited because that was something they had knowledge of already as well. And it was very encouraging to see how many of them remembered the distributive property because when we first teach it in 3rd grade, it kind of makes you want to bang your head up against the wall because you're like, oh my gosh, this is like the worst. But now they feel so much more confident and comfortable with it and they're familiar with it. So that was so good to see. There we go. Everything's sorted. Good to go. I'm just proud of myself for using my time so wisely today. Ooh, this is not, whoa. My tripod wasn't like screwed. There we go. All right, that was fun. So I'm just going to sit and work on, we're piloting IXL. I kind of talked about this last week and how I feel about doing another online program, but we're piloting it next or like this year. And so now I'm going to try to set it up on my Canvas page for my students because it's not on our class link where they can do single sign-on. So I'm going to try to set it up on Canvas and also get some like helpful, like a student intro video and like parent help resources on there, because I want to give some parents resources they can work on at home to kind of make up some of these gaps that I've been seeing. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'm going to go home. We're going to watch the basketball game at a friend's house tonight, but I am like exhausted. So I might go home and like rest. So I'm probably going to go home and rest after I get this done. I don't have a whole lot to do, but that is it for Wednesday afternoon. And it's not a hard read. Once you start, you just kind of keep going. Tricking them into like helping them with the alphabet. No, it's really cool. It's like, I didn't really know much about Frederick Douglass like at all. I'm sure I learned about him in school at some point. I just didn't remember. Good morning and happy Thursday. It is a little bit later than I usually get here in the mornings. I'm not gonna lie, I hit the snooze button this morning, but that's okay. We're still gonna make it. It'll be just fine. So I'm here and I just got all my slides and stuff put up, and that's about like, I'm looking at my checklist, and my checklist isn't too bad. But most of the things on my checklist I can't do until the students arrive. So I'm going to start to make like my list of things that I want to accomplish before spring break to set myself up for success after the break, which I think one of those things would be finding fluency copies because I do the fluency copies for math. So if I can find the masters or make the masters for fluency copies, that would be good, because then I could make the copies like tomorrow or sometime next week, or maybe even during my planning, because I might be able to do that during planning. So I'm just starting like a list of things that I can get done before spring break, because that's where we're at. Today is Thursday, so we've got 7 more teaching days until spring break, which is really hard to believe, honestly, and pretty crazy, because it's gonna like go by in a flash. I feel like once spring break is over, when you come back, it feels like you blink and it's the end of the year. And I'm like, how are we already there? And then I get kind of sad. I'm like, oh, I love this group of kids so much. I don't want to leave them. Or I don't want them to leave me. I'm not going anywhere. But anyways, I'm just kind of rambly this morning. One of my lights is off. I need to go turn that on. I'm really tired. We went over to a friend's house last night and watched the Auburn, Tennessee basketball game. I think I might have mentioned that yesterday. Auburn lost, but it was a really close game, and honestly, both teams played pretty well. The refs called so many fouls, and so it was a really long game, but it was fun. We had dinner and like hung out, but then I was so tired when I got home. Like, I went home after work, I guess after I stopped talking to you guys yesterday afternoon. Did I even check in yesterday afternoon? I think I did. Anyways, I was sitting here and they decided they were going to test the fire. The people were here to test the fire alarms yesterday afternoon. So the fire alarm was going off in my room for like a solid 10, 15 minutes. And finally I got to the end and I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. I'm going home. So it was like 3:25. And as soon as I packed up and walked out of the door, the alarm stopped. And I was like, well, I'm already packed up and I'm out, so I'm leaving. And I went home and just laid on the couch and watched YouTube and didn't move until it was time to go. I was so tired and kind of worn out. And then like my wrist feels funny this morning too. I don't know. I feel like I'm like falling apart. Like my, I don't want to say it feels numb, but it kind of does, like in a weird, like sore joints kind of way. I don't know. So I'm like falling apart. So I just rested yesterday afternoon until we went to the game. And then the game was fun. We just sat and ate food and watched a basketball game. But we didn't get home until late. And by late, I mean like 10:30. So I like showered and got ready for bed right away and went to sleep, because the night before I went to bed at like 9:15 and was still tired. And so I was like, oh gosh, it's almost 11. So this is way later than my usual for this week, but that's okay. So today's goal for math is we're doing our chapter review. It went fantastic last time I did the chapter review with them, which I think was last week. I think I shared about that in a vlog, that I had somebody come and like watch and observe my classroom, but my kids did great. So we're doing it the same way this time, and I might pull a few. I don't really know who I'm gonna pull to work with me at my table this time, because it's area and like they're kind of hit or miss. Like they're doing okay with it for the most part. I might pull the same two that I've been working with at my table, and I could think of like one more. Maybe those three like can come work with me, and the rest will work with partners to finish the chapter review. And then when they're done, I'll let them like get on to 99 math or something, just until we're finished, and then we'll check over the answers. So I think that'll go really well. And then in reading today, it's a test day. So we're doing our progress check, which reminds me, I can go print something for that. So we're doing our progress check, which is like the comprehension test, and then we're doing our word study quiz, which is the spelling test, but it's a list of words that use the same spelling sound that they've had for like weeks and weeks. And so they are going to be tested on 10 words from that list that have the long O or the long I sound spelling. And I need to go print off the list for it. Let's see, we have coach, boast, throw, toe, cloak, pie. I need to get rid of throw, actually, because that's not one of the spellings that we used, because I think we did OA and OE. No, I think we had OW as well. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. So coach, boast, throw, toe, cloak. I tried to pick ones that were like, that had blends or digraphs in them too, because this is 3rd grade, but it's definitely scaled back for what our learners need. But I was like, I can throw in some things like that. And then I had pie, night, flight, tie, bright. And then we do 2 sentences. The boat was soaked and did not float, and the pie was a good sight. So that's what we're going to do. And I've been having them like identify our grammar skill in the sentences as well. So we were working on conjunctions. So they'll have to spell the long O words right: boat, soak, float in that sentence. And then they need a capital and a period. And then can they identify the and conjunction. So it's like 6 points, like 6 questions all in one sentence. But it gives them a lot of chances to do well on their word study quizzes. So that is it. I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to work on finding copies for fluency. I think some of them are over here, like in my teaching station. I used one of these books down here. Oh gosh. This one, I think, for our fluency passages. And so I just need to look and see, like, I think the last one we did was Unit 3. And so I think I can use Unit 4, maybe. Nope, we've already used Unit 4. So maybe I'll use Unit 5. But we're not to Unit 5 yet. I don't know. I'll sit and think about it, but I'm going to let you guys go. What is this camera angle right now? Good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, and I'm sitting in my car in the driveway. David is not home from work yet, but he'll be home soon. And I'm just gonna go inside and change into sweatpants and sit on the couch because I'm tired. This week was a good, like, normal week, but we did a lot of teaching and content stuff. So it was really busy, and I didn't pick up the phone this morning to like check in or anything. I stayed really late yesterday afternoon, and David came and helped me tear out pages that I needed for the fourth 9 weeks, which is coming up in 5 days. So David helped me tear out pages for that, and then we went out to eat dinner last night, and then I just had a really busy Friday. It wasn't as great as the other 4 days of this week were, so I felt like I was kind of putting out fires all day, but the highlight of the day was reading. We started our like miniature novel study on the Frederick Douglass Fights for Freedom scholastic biography novel. And when I say my kids were so excited, I mean, you could have heard a pin drop while I was reading. We brainstormed what they knew about slavery in the United States, which was really good. They had a lot of background knowledge, and we filled in a bubble map. I'll insert a picture right here of what we knew from like previous texts that we've read this year or other history lessons we've had. And then we started reading the novel, and it's really good. I made like a really like simple resource to go with it, where it was just like pages that the students took notes in, and there were 2 vocabulary terms and 2 questions per chapter, just like comprehension questions where we're practicing writing written response answers in complete sentences. But we read just the first 2 chapters today, and they were like hooked. And I think it's really neat because it's like a story form of Frederick Douglass's biography. I've already read it twice. I read it once just to like be familiar with it probably a month and a half ago, because I knew it was coming up in March. And then I read it a second time when I created the resource. So this is my 3rd time reading through it. But the students were so excited because it makes you feel like you're there with him, you know, because it's a story. But it's a biography, so it's really about his life, and they were like hooked, which is really exciting and encouraging because that's what we're doing all of next week. So the timing actually worked out great for that because it's going to take us right into spring break. Some of them, we did a novel study on Charlotte's Web back in the fall, and some of them were like, I kind of like this more than Charlotte's Web. And I was like, well, that's really cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it, because we talked about how it was a novel study like we did before. And a novel is like a fancy word for like a chapter book. And I compared it to our novel study on Charlotte's Web, even used the same fonts on the whole note-taking sheet. But we talked about how Charlotte's Web was fiction fantasy. This one is a biography, but it's novel style. So it's like a story style biography about his life. So I was really excited that they were so into that. Can I set my phone here? I should have done that a long time ago. I think if I turn it off, it won't fall. So they were really engaged, and I'm really excited to continue that next week. And just do that for a couple days next week. We've got field day and AR parties and all kinds of craziness. So we'll be like closing down everything that we need to do for the 9 weeks. So I've stayed kind of late this week to make sure I'm on top of my grading. And this afternoon I was working on materials that I'm going to need for conferences the day we come back from spring break. It's a teacher work day, and so I'm doing some parent conferences. So I was working on everything, and I'm prepped for those, which feels really good. So next week I can work on like closing out all of the lessons and grading and working on report cards, and hopefully I'll be like set when spring break rolls around. But that's all I've got for you on this Friday. I'm going to go in, change into sweats, enjoy some TV. Please leave a comment below on what you want to see. I think I'm going to vlog next week. Maybe I'll do a plan with me. I don't know. Tell me what kind of video you want to see and what you're interested in, so I can have a little bit of direction about what you want me to film next week. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. I stayed really late yesterday afternoon, and David came and helped me tear out